when you see a certain thing at the right time, like Clockwork Orange and Taxi Driver always have a huge impact on me. You just go, well, I saw those at a sleepover. I'm never the same again. Became just kind of obsessed with movies after that. And Aguirre, Wrath of God's another one. I think that's why I got the Scenarios book. I've always been just constantly drawn back.
The monkeys crawling all over the...
Unbelievable. But the POV, that movie is a master of point of view of where they just stay on the raft. Yeah. And those shots of the natives just looking at them. And any other movie, they would have gone behind the natives and you would have been tracking along them and you're with them, but he doesn't do that. He just stays on the raft. And I still think one of the most haunting images is when they leave that horse.
Yeah, no, it's amazing.
And he holds on that as like they just drift away from that horse, and you kind of go, well, that thing's about to get eaten in like 5 minutes or something.
You recognize the voice there? Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely Bill Hader.
Yeah.
Huge film nerd.
The A24 podcast. And I thought that passage was particularly appropriate because I feel like what we're about to get into is our A24 movies, kind of the new Clockwork Orange, Taxi Driver, and Aguirre, The Wrath of God for the upcoming generation of film nerds.
And then that is a bold way to start this episode and start this season. Well, let's talk about that. I mean, folks, welcome to Film Trace. This is a podcast where we trace the life of films from conception to production all the way to release and reception. It is a brand new season for us. We decided to dive into the enigma, the abyss, the morass that is A24. The cultural icon for who? I guess hipsters, film nerds, art film snobs. Truly has become an institution over the last 13 years, essentially. I mean, I remember when Spring Breakers got released back in 2013, and I was like, who the hell's A24? But this movie looks insane and awesome. That was my first sort of, I don't know, experience with them. I don't know what it was for you, Chris. I mean, were you tracking them back then, or was it something that popped up to you later?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't in 2013. I'd probably say it was probably 2015 was...
Sure, yeah.
It was like the big year, it felt like. That's when Ex Machina came out. The Amy Winehouse documentary. Yeah. Room, which wound up giving Brie Nelson an Oscar. Is that her name? Brie
Larson. Close enough.
Brie Larson.
Brie Nelson. I like that though. That's good too.
So I think that was the year for me. Oh, and then Under the Skin was 2014, but I probably didn't see it until 2015.
Yeah.
On streaming or something. This is it's a minefield to say the least.
Yeah.
But I'm curious because this was originally your baby. You'd been trying to convince me to do something like this for a while. Uh-huh. I continued to push back simply because of how caustic it could become. Because I think one of the main misconceptions out there is that A24 movies are kind of like like an indie record label where it's like a carefully curated collection of bands that all kind of have the same vibe or ethic or genre, but that is not the case here, even though a lot of people treat them that way. What's your take on what makes, and like where did they come from? What are they trying to do? How have they cultivated this kind of brand that no other movie studio, I would argue, has ever been able to do, with the possible exception of Blumhouse, but that's on like a very different wavelength.
Different scale, yeah. And kind of a different, Blumhouse's genre, at the end of the day, it's a horror genre sort of studio, and A24 isn't. It's an art house genre. It started, I think that's one of the weird things about A24 is that, especially in the last 5-6 years, there's this subculture, this niche that has been built around the brand itself that sort of proclaims it as a left of center, left of the dial, out there, experimental art house sort of brand. But the guys that started it are they're pretty much insiders for the most part, right? Daniel Katz, David Fenkel, and John Hodges all are from the industry. Daniel Katz was essentially a film finance guy at Guggenheim Partners. David Finkel, Oscilloscope, you guys have probably heard of them. They're definitely indie, right? But and John Hodges had, been more, I think, on the marketing development side of things, but within sort of the entertainment industry. These guys are not like punk rockers. Like, these are people that had careers in film and entertainment and decided they wanted to start their own thing. I think what makes it so fascinating to me is that as someone who has worked, most of my career has been in startups, small companies that are a person's idea, and I essentially help build them. It is pretty amazing to see these three guys come together in August of 2012, not that long ago, 13 years ago exactly. And over the course of, basically a decade, have built one of the more formidable, not even indie anymore, I'd call them a mid-major at this point. It's kind of amazing, like, that journey. And I think it's also fascinating from the fact that, like, both of us have been film nerds and obsessive about movies this entire period, and watching them grow. It's probably the first time in my life where I've seen, especially in the film industry, something like this happen. Outside of Blumhouse, like we've talked about, but they're different. Blumhouse is doing their own thing. A24 really etched out a place in culture in a way that Blumhouse definitely has not done. And I think that's the thing that excites me. It's like they're successful from a business perspective, which I'm, very fascinated by. But from an artistic perspective, I think they're even more powerful in sort of what they've done for film and cinephiles. And it's really given a group of people that didn't really have a voice in culture, a collective voice. Now they have one with this brand. And I think that, like, calling it a brand makes me feel gross. But, like, that's what it is. It is, at the end of the day, a capitalist enterprise to create entertainment to make money. They just got $250 million, 3 years ago. I think they're valued at like $2.5 billion, essentially. So that's kind of what interests me about it, because, yes, it's this amazing artistic moment where a lot of auteurs and people who didn't have a voice in art were given a voice by this company, and now they're growing and becoming bigger, becoming a mid-major. They're trying to grow and become, a more established studio. How is this going to play out? How is the artistic edge that they started out with going to evolve or devolve as they up the budgets, as they expand their releases, as they increase their marketing budgets? So that's kind of, a little bit of a retrospective to kind of see, where we think they're going to go and why are they important, if they are important. That's my spiel on A24. I don't know. Are you buying that or no?
Yeah, no, I do buy it. And I think that totally makes sense from a kind of like uber business focused a side of things. And I mean, that's your bread and butter, and I'm open to it. I think my hang up that we will coming back to is that sometimes it feels like, because these are very much, people that are not embarrassed, though they are somehow escaping some of the blame of like the horrible commodification of art that endangers so much of how we consume and interpret and become obsessed with various movies and artists behind them. And I think it's interesting that we're starting off with the two most recent A24 movies, which kind of in some ways show the two very different sides, though neither seems to be poised to justify these encroaching larger and larger budgets that they're doing. But at the same time, I am constantly magnetized towards their releases, because they're almost always, even when it's bad, they're almost always doing something that's way more interesting than what any other studio is doing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's some sort of spark that they had that has not gone away since Spring Breakers. and it's still there even with the cash infusion in 2022, where things got a little bit more serious on the business side. They, I thought that they were going to, probably lose their touch really fast. I don't know that they have, right? Like looking at the more recent movies, we're talking about Sorry Baby and Eddington, this podcast, but the other stuff that came out this year, Bring Her Back, Friendship, Death of a Unicorn, Opus, Baby Girl, Brutalist last year, Y2K, Queer, Heretic. There's always something fascinating about what they're doing. And that's a very hard thing to pull off. I've been thinking a lot about Blumhouse recently. Don't ask me why, but they're a company that had that in the beginning, Paranormal Activity, Insidious, Sinister, Purge, these tiny budget movies that did massive things because they were so interesting and fascinating, but that definitely faded for them over the last decade or so. That has not happened with A24. They still have their cool hip factor and edge to everything that they're doing. And it's kind of surprising that they've been able to keep it up. I mean, and Sorry Baby and Eddington, I think you bring this up as a really good point. These are not mainstream movies. These are not movies that are going to, open up in like December and play for the holiday season and make like $100 million. Like that's not what they're doing. I think that part of them wants to do that on some level or hopes that they do. But they're definitely still swinging for the fences and hitting it to the left. Like they're definitely okay with things being out there still, which I think runs counter to the narrative that the business has put forth about A24, that they're trying to get bigger and doing these bigger movies like Civil War and Warfare this year, with bigger budgets that are pushing $50 million. But I don't know, they still have their street cred. And I wonder if they're going to keep that for long. We'll talk about that more, what's coming up. But I think let's dive into Sorry Baby and Eddington to see what these movies are all about. What do you want to dive into first, Chris? I feel like Eddington. Let's just get that out of the way.
Okay. And so listeners kind of understand where we're coming from. One of the things that kind of pushed me over the edge in agreeing to do this theme for this series of episodes is that we're looking not just at A24 and their movies, because we're always trying to link it back to film history. What movies inspired this modern crop of filmmakers to create their modern art. So yes, we're gonna talk about Sorry Baby, but I think I like your plan to end on a good note, because we were gonna get it spicy right up front, but we are gonna talk about not only Sorry Baby but also The Holiday, the 2006 rom-com Nancy Meyers flick that writer director star Eva Victor found a lot of inspiration from. Also, just as bananas, Ari Aster took a lot of inspiration from Oliver Stone's 1991 epic conspiracy thriller JFK to create Eddington, his COVID movie, maybe the first real COVID movie, at least one that attempts to look back on it. I don't know if you remember, Dan, the first thing I thought of when watching Eddington was we did a episode on whatever Paranormal Activity movie came out during COVID.
Yeah, like something Santa or something. I can't remember what it was. Yeah,
but like that was like an active part of the plot, and that was kind of bizarre in retrospect. But now we are here looking back on 2020. With Joaquin Phoenix and Pedro Pascal as feuding local officials, sheriff and mayor, respectively. And, I honestly was thinking it was going to be way more bananas than it ended up being.
Yeah, it's pretty tame for Ari.
Right. Especially if you are in the small minority that I'm a part of, proudly, that saw Beau is Afraid.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Which is as, maximalist, push to the wall, surreal insanity that you could possibly imagine from a movie, widely released, which is another, I think, important point here is that, these are not mainstream movies. And yet we both saw both of these A24 movies at an AMC with our A-list membership, right?
Yeah, like this is
not a sponsor
AMC
podcast,
IMAX Laser. I saw both these movies on recliner. So like,
yeah,
this is apparently these are multiplex movies. I don't understand what they're doing. A24 is known for this though. Like they are. It's one of their things where they're choosing these out there more experimental films that are not mainstream films, but they're pushing them wide releases. It's kind of one of their things. I think it's part of their marketing scheme, would be my guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, it kind of goes with the weird kind of artisan films channel or whatever that AMC is attempting to kind of like. Yep. Right, and they're pulling out all the stops. Obviously, any major theatrical exhibition company has to be constantly innovating, whether it's $70 popcorn buckets or giving
popcorn bucket.
Oh yeah, well, there's a Fantastic Four one. It's the villain's head, and it's enormous, and it's $70.
$70.
Yeah, these people. I did buy the Superman one though, because it was a little like newspaper rack for the Daily Planet. And,
nice.
Anyways.
I mean, speaking of A24 loves to commercialize their films.
Yeah, well, I was going to say.
Their swag, expensive swag.
Right, like Eddington bobblehead hit the shop. Right, like it's of all the movies, right? Like,
it's really bizarre stuff.
I'm surprised there's not like a Hereditary doll with a detachable head.
Spoiler alert!
Sorry.
Amazing.
Okay, let's
dive in. Let's dive into it.
We're dancing around.
We're warmed up. Let's get into Eddington.
I loved it. Well,
first of all, oh god, you're killing me. First of all, what are your thoughts? Give me your quick thoughts on Hereditary and Midsommar and Beau.
Hereditary made my stomach hurt. I'll never watch it again. Midsommar, I really, really enjoy, but it's very difficult to rewatch, especially because of the opening scene, which is, spoiler alert, mass suicide. And Beau is Afraid, I have watched it twice, and I was giddy both times. I think this guy gets better with every movie. And I know that's a hot take because a lot of people love Hereditary, and also Eddington has like become like the maligned movie of 2025. There's something about it. Like I love that he came in with horror and he's now just doing whatever the fuck he wants.
Political black comedy.
Yeah,
like, I don't even know what you would call this. I mean, it's borderline satire. I mean, I would call it a satire. I would call it an attempted satire. I don't know that I would give it the full title of a satire. It's definitely a change of pace. Like what Beau is Afraid is pretty surrealist, as I recall from what I know about it, and absurdist. Yeah.
It's just it's like he Sam Raimi using Bruce Campbell as his ragdoll. That's Ari Aster and Joaquin Phoenix. And since I loathe Joaquin Phoenix, typically I actually really enjoy him in Ari Aster's movies because he's just willing to just like self-flagellate for the masses, and that's satisfying for me.
I love that. I hate this movie. I wanted to walk out. It's weird. I had this moment. I've been going a lot because I moved to Chicago and I'm right near I moved literally to be close to an AMC. That's how weird I am. And I got A-list, so I can go whenever I want to. And I went to like Jurassic Park, the new Jurassic Park. Hated it. Then I went to the new Superman. I think hated it more than Jurassic Park. And then I topped it off with this, and I was just like, what am I doing with my life? Going to these movies and wasting my time. Eddington, but here's the thing about Eddington, though. I was excited to see it. The trailers look good to me. My relationship with Ari is extremely complicated. I saw Hereditary, I want to say the first or second weekend.
Same, yeah.
It came out. I saw it on a Sunday morning in Nashville. Seeing a movie on a Sunday morning in Nashville is already weird because most people are in church, like evangelical church on Sunday mornings. So there's nobody around. There was like 3 people in the theater with me. I think 2 people walked out after the car scene. I wanted to throw up. It is literally the only time that I've ever wanted to like physically leave it. I felt like I was going to have a panic attack. But I loved the movie because it took me places that I'd never been before. And I was like, thank you. This is amazing. This is going to change the horror genre. And it 100% did. It absolutely changed the horror genre. It has not aged well for me. It's not a movie I go back to and watch. And it's not just because it's really traumatic or like, you know, very intense emotions or stuff like that. There's something about it that left a weird taste in my mouth, and that continued with Midsommar, which I thought was like, he just seems like an edgelord to me. Like he's an edgelord filmmaker. He wants to push people's buttons, and I like my buttons being pushed. That's like one of the things. I like it. I like Midsommar, like that opening scene was despicable. That's a despicable opening scene to put in a movie. I mean, it really is. And I was talking with a good friend of the podcast, Molly, who's been on a few times, and we were talking about some movie, and she like refuses. I think she refuses to see a lot of his movies or any of his movies or something. And she was telling me about his initial short that he put out, and she like described it to me, and I was like, yeah, this guy's really screwed up. And like, so that's like, I'm approaching Eddington with that like, I really liked aspects of Hereditary. I thought it was a groundbreaking horror film, very, very important for just the horror genre. Midsommar, I think, was interesting, but also kind of like some low blows in there for no reason. I've avoided Beau just because I can't. Like, I think it's going to be too much in his world, which I don't want to be in. So Eddington, I don't know. I was excited about it. It seemed like way more straightforward, not as like chaotic and weird as his other stuff. Mm-hmm. But man, did it land flat for me. Wow, did it land flat. I think the big thing for me is that if anybody else had done this movie and I saw that wasn't Ari Aster, I would be like, I mean, good try, buddy. Like, you failed horribly, but like, I'm glad that you went for it. But because it's him, I'm extra harsh because I know that he's a good filmmaker. I know that he knows how to craft a really interesting story and has the technical chops to, you know, really put some innovative shit on the screen. And I don't, why COVID? Why? I get that he grew up in New Mexico. I don't give a shit about New Mexico. Like, I just like, what is like, I don't get the impetus to do this. It's so close to like what's happening, like what's already happened. We just had, El Trumpo elected again, and like the country's the most divisive it's ever been since the Civil War, the first one, not the second one that's happening now, of course. What the hell do you think he was thinking making this?
Yeah, I mean, I think number one, yes, there is that motivation to just provoke, and typically that's not my jam. I think I'll talk about this a bit when we get into Under the Silver Lake a few episodes later, yeah, where it feels all a bit much just to like rattle some cages. But here, what I think landed for me was how kind of honest and personal it felt. That is maybe why it doesn't really hit as far as satire, because it evades that, kind of like how, for better or worse, Hereditary and Midsommar kind of evade some of the trappings of the horror genre that kind of make it feel too real, right? Like the trauma piece of Hereditary and the suicide piece of Midsommar feel like, I couldn't, the best way I could try to explain to our other friends of the pod that I saw Eddington with, Mark and Bridget, why it resonated so much with me is that, like, I honestly think that he is caring way less about making something that will appeal to audiences and way more interested in doing something that audiences will remember, that like will have that kind of visceral unsettling aspect to it. And I like that you have this, kind of I'm a sucker for a microcosm story. He's trying to have all the elements of society and so close to, proximity of time from this international trauma, which is exactly, the kind of bread and butter that made Hereditary so palpable, and this idea of mass brainwashing, which is what made Midsummer so appealing, and ultimately just like the absolute absurdity of the world we live in. He didn't need to make it surreal because we already live in a surreal world, especially in these last 5 years. He grew up in New Mexico, but he, had this idea in his head for a long time about this story, essentially a Western of two feuding locals, right? And when COVID hit and he's experiencing quarantine, I think that it's kind of masterful that this is like the perfect place to set this, because it is like, how many times did we see people reference like the Wild West? Like that's what it felt like, with like toilet paper and masks, and like it was like we were kind of going back to a lot of our primal instincts, and to do that in not just the context of COVID, but also like I'd argue that even more incendiary is how he integrates George Floyd into the script, which, I'm living in Minneapolis, and I've been through that. Like I taught through George Floyd to like, I had a student that knew him. So like, it's insane to think that you're going to do anything except just rile people up. And I think the number one aspect, I'm curious if you agree with this, Dan, as a hater, that has ruffled feathers is his portrayal of the teenage population in this fictional town who take up arms, not figuratively, not literally, though maybe literally towards the end of the movie, which we'll get into. And are just like in the most aggressively annoying way possible, doing the whole quote woke thing, and trying to make everybody uncomfortable in town. And
that's the best part of the movie.
Okay,
by far. Yeah. Like that's the best
part land for you, but none of the else,
because it was like, okay, so I think where it's like, it's so clear that Ari Aster's definitely on the more progressive leftist side of things. I mean, you can just tell, right? Because his portrayal of progressive people in this is funny. It's funny. Like, the white girl Sarah trying to pretend like she knows anything about anything besides being a white girl in America. Like she doesn't, right? Like, and that's a classic sort of progressive trope. And they're, but come on, they're so easy takedowns though. I mean, he's not offering anything that insightful. My favorite part was when, the kid that's trying to get into her pants and pretend that he's like progressive, ends up
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah, exactly. At the end, I was like, I love that. And then he becomes a politician. Yeah. I was like, yes,
that's beautiful.
It's like, why was not the entire movie just like that scene? Because I think like where Ari loses me here is that and I think that like you're giving him an out on it not being satire, because I think that that's his aim here. I think his aim is to satirize our current society, the chaos of it. He talks repeatedly. There's an interview. He's like, dread, dread, dread. Everything's dreadful. We're filled with dread. I'm filled with dread about everything. And he wanted to put that on screen. He's like, yeah, he sort of captured that. But like, satire requires a sort of almost zaniness to it. It has to be over the top. And I think like you put it perfectly, and I think it's actually the main problem I have with the movie, is that he just plays things pretty flat as to how they actually are, which is, an achievement. He got that right. It's accurate. like Joaquin Phoenix, his character, the sheriff, is a very accurate description of people in his position of power in small town. Like, it just seems very spot on. But that's not enough to do a satire. Like, there has to be more than just a reflection of society in the movie. He has to take an artistic perspective. And I just felt like he was pulling his punches every single scene, except for a few, like the Carl Rittenhouse stuff or whatever. That's the thing that I can't give him a break on. I was like, he's way smarter than this. I think he's way smarter than this. I think he did not push himself creatively here at all. Or the alternative is he doesn't have a really good understanding of American politics. I mean, it's some shade of that. And like, I don't want to think that because he seems like a very smart guy. I don't know. I think what probably happened here is he felt like he didn't want to seem biased. And so that's why he kind of played everybody evenly. Like the sheriff character is a despicable monster, right? Like, we're supposed to like. So
here's my reading of that. Like, because that I think was one of the biggest surprises for me is at this point, you're this deep into an Eddington episode of a movie podcast. So spoiler. But, Pedro Pascal's character gets murdered kind of unceremoniously by Joaquin Phoenix's character. And, it essentially, like, he's just eliminated. Like, it's just like in such a shocking way to kind of show that banality of violence. And then it just goes off the rails from there. That's when it does kind of introduce this surreal aspect, because in this movie's world, Antifa is real to some extent, or somebody that's posing as Antifa, right? There's an entire jet of
I think it's implied that it's like the data center people.
Well,
right?
that's a theory. And that's what's happening on the outskirts, right? That ends up being the center point of the closing shot. Is that yes, this is are we all being distracted by everything that's going on in the world that's dividing us, when really this, specter of evil is approaching and taking over our country, one small town at a time. This AI affiliated data center. But my reading of that idea of, is he really putting everybody, like, trying to, like, both sides, trying to South Park it, right? I really don't think so. I think that is a mirage, because what he's showing is the right's penchant for violence is always going to win out over that. And so even in a world where Antifa, or somebody that poses as them, were to be real, you'd still ultimately have that fascist bent of the right to take over, because they're the most closely aligned.
Oh, you're doing capitalism. Lots of work for Ari right now.
No, I don't think so. I think that all those mile markers are there in the script and on the screen, and he's very smart about how he films, for instance, that assassination of Pedro Pascal's character. I think that a lot. If I could bear to rewatch Hereditary or Midsommar, I think we would be able to see those. I am able to stomach Beau is Afraid because it's just so silly and so out there, and you really see it. Like, this guy has studied this visual language to make sure that he's able to both just, like, shock for shock's sake, but then if you're willing to do the work, it is there. But I get it. He's going to, and I think that's one of the things that's so admirable about him, is that he doesn't care about losing so much of his audience, because that's part of his purpose. And, that's going to work for only the weirdos like me. And I don't know how A24 is just going to continue to let him get bigger budgets and bigger stars.
Well, they're not, though.
You think this is dead in the water for him?
Oh, this is bad. It's bad. Beau is Afraid was a pretty big loss for them. I want to say it probably lost 20-30 million bucks or something. I can't remember the exact number, but it was tens of millions of dollars it lost. They're going to lose just as much on this. Because like it is doing so poorly at the box office. It's only at what, 8 million worldwide. It's bad, man. I do think that his blank check with A24 is over. Beau's Afraid was a big push for them too. That was a big thing for them to do, to give them that big of a budget and to give them a really big marketing budget, more than they're used to. And that only did 11 million worldwide. Remember, they're only going to keep at most half, usually like 40% of that. Mm-hmm. So, and streaming's not going to make up for that. That's the thing. It's like, yeah, I'm so bizarre. It's bizarre to me why they gave him this budget and the green light to do Eddington, because I think they maybe thought that like, oh, hey, we need our first COVID movie. Hey, this is going to be buzzy and people are going to like want to explore. No, I don't. No one wants to explore COVID. We're all dealing with the inflation of COVID right now every single day. Like no one wants to talk about it or think about it. We all just want to forget about it. And maybe in 10 years we can like go back and uncover some of it. And I think also too, like it's just, you know, I don't know. I was bored to tears in this movie too. You know, I that's the thing I don't understand about Ari, is that like Hereditary and Midsommar are so visually rich and engaging and fascinating. They're fascinating movies just to look at, especially Midsommar. Like the last half hour of that's unbelievable. Mm-hmm. It's like made for the Criterion Collection. You know what I mean? But like this one is just so drab. It's a desert, and I'm like, and
but
maybe
you're not a Western guy.
I mean, I can be a Western guy. It depends. I want Fistful. What did we do? Fistful of Dollars? That was amazing. I hated it. It was awesome. I'm a more spaghetti Western guy, personally. I don't know. And then, you know, watching JFK alongside it, I'm like, well, this is a master. Like, Oliver Stone is a master edgelord conspiracy theory guy. He always has
the
been.
Original edgelord.
Yeah, like you listen to Oliver Stone in an interview, and he'll riddle off 30 historical events. You have no idea what he's talking about, and he barely makes any sense, but you believe him. You know what I mean? It's like and I just, you know, just before we popped on, it's so funny that like movies come back around. Like JFK, Molly, friend of the podcast, we started a movie thing during the pandemic. Our first movie was JFK.
Nice.
We sat there on a Sunday afternoon together. I was in St. Louis. She was in Chicago, you know, long distance stuff because of COVID. We sat there, talked on the phone, and watched the movie, and we're just like blown away by this thing because we didn't really remember it. We probably didn't see it as kids. It came out, what, 91, right? I probably saw it growing up, but man, it hits hard.
I know.
And Stone is just, I don't know. I will say this about my one critique of Ari in his style is that, like, especially in Eddington, I don't know, you seem to think that it's like very cinematically rich. I thought it was just so boringly shot. Man. I thought it was like, I have to sit through this. And then you go to watch Oliver Stone, and it's like everything pops. Joe Pesci in the hotel room with his wig. I mean, like, everything is popping constantly. Every scene feels, and I think that like that's a big, which blows my mind, because Ari in Hereditary and Midsommar, and probably Beau, had that. He had that magic that the best filmmakers have, like, you know, Quentin Tarantino. I hate bringing him up, but like, he's a guy that you give him film and he will make characters literally pop out of the screens. You cannot stop watching them. And that's what JFK was like. The entire, whatever, is it, like 3 hours long or something? Yeah. The whole thing. You know, it's funny, as I went for this movie club with Molly, during like the holidays, I'll go over to her house and watch a movie. And we did Nixon to kind of follow up, you know, this, and it's unwatchable. And you're just like, how would the same guy make JFK make it just made no sense to me. But yeah, I think like JFK is a perfect example of what I get. It seems like a huge influence on Eddington. It's just where, as JFK is constant fireworks and intrigue, Eddington was just drab, you know, sagebrush. And I'm just like, you know what I mean? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think the one aspect of Eddington that we haven't brought up that is very much absent in JFK simply because of the time periods we live in. And this seemed to be like a challenge. I thought he pulled it off, but like so much of 2020 is all about being on your phone as well, right? And Darius Kanji, the cinematographer, does a lot of, I think, fascinating things to show these people in the desert on their phones, are going right all the way up to from the opening shot of Joaquin Phoenix doom scrolling to the end where we see like the 1 year later, right, of the events, and the kid is revealed to be a Kyle Rittenhouse type, and that aspect is unsettling, and it's odd, and it's arguably small for, you know, what, like you said, is arguably a very cinematic filmmaker. But it resonates with me. But I do understand that it's not outwardly as breathtaking as you'd expect. I also think it's about, like, in essence, the death of America. And so it just wouldn't make sense to make it sumptuous, right?
But we got to dive into that, the death of America thing, because
I mean, well, that's kind of JFK as well, right?
100%. Yeah, it's very similar in that aspect where JFK is like the death of this dream of America, this post World War II. Hey, we're the best. Hey, we're a democracy. Hey, you should be like us, all human beings, because we're the greatest. It's the death of that because it indicated that, like, oh, one, we were doing really fucked up things to people all over the world during that time period. Hello, CIA, and, you know, DID, all that kind of stuff. And then two, it's that, like, these very, very powerful people probably run the country, and we don't know them. Right? So it, like, undermines democracy and undermines that we're the good guys. Eddington, I think, and maybe this is where it is successful, is it does accurately reflect where we are now. But I think the thing that's frustrating to me is, like, we're all living it. Like, I don't need to see a movie that tells me what I already see on a daily basis on Blue Sky or X or whatever, Reddit, or Instagram or whatever, you know, whatever your drug of choice is these days. That's why it's just, and maybe with time, someone said, I think it was LA Times, was like, I wish I could put this movie in a time capsule and open it 20 years from now. And I think that's actually a good take, that, like, maybe this is something that will age with time and will become something more important, or, like Sight and Sound said, who I tend to agree with more often than not, that this is going to be like a Southland Tales. That, like, yeah, it'll have a cult following, but because it's so bonkers and bizarre and wrong. You know what I mean?
Aren't you a Southland Tales defender, though?
Well, absolutely, yeah, without a doubt, yeah. Like, but there's a kitschness to it. There's a camp. It's camp. Mm-hmm. And I think that there is an element of camp here for Eddington. So maybe it can live on. Maybe if I view it through the more intentional camp or unintentional camp, maybe I'll enjoy it more. I don't know. Do you buy campness to that?
I mean, I think it's deliberate camp, but I do think that because he's eschewing so many different trappings of various genres that it kind of slips through the cracks. I do think that what makes JFK sing, and, like, I don't know if I've ever met a person that didn't absolutely just adore this kind of insane piece of filmmaking, which is a testament to Oliver Stone's power in that time period. But I mean, I think it's also notable, like you mentioned, Nixon, like he went downhill after this pretty fast. He had National Born Killers, which, you know, take or leave, but was, you know, a cultural impact. But then it was just a nosedive, right, with Nixon and basically everything after. U-turn, and then he, like, disappeared. So I think that that's possible with Ari, but I also think that with this studio behind him. I don't know. I'm looking right now, and I would be very surprised. And it might be distribution, not production, but he's teaming up with Don Hertzfeldt for an animated movie next, and it supposedly has an even bigger budget than Eddington has.
You better be careful,
right?
And like the M. Night Shyamalan problem, where it's like,
or he might follow that arc and make a comeback later. I don't know. But I mean, before we move over to Sorry Baby and The Holiday, can we just mention quickly, like, what is it? Because like the other big connection that I see that also seems to be like way more concerning, and this is maybe gonna ruffle your feathers, Dan.
Please do.
Is that whereas Eddington is just like very clearly playing fast and loose with what's real and what's fake, what's part of our modern history and what's not. Like Oliver Stone's presenting his 3-hour epic full of conspiracy takes as fact, and that is
lying. They're lies. They're like bold-faced lies.
Okay, so like this, I feel like this is a phrase that's going to come up later, because also our friend of the pod, Bridget, asked me after Eddington, like, would you consider this to be irresponsible art? JFK is intoxicating. It's masterfully made. I was smiling ear to ear watching it while folding laundry for 3 straight hours. But I grew up thinking that like this was like it had to be like, yeah, there's definitely.
Okay, let me clarify what I'm saying. I feel like Oliver Stone is lying, but through his lies, he's telling us the truth. Does that make sense?
No.
Like, okay, let me explain this to you. The scene with Donald Sutherland, which is phenomenal. It's on YouTube. The entire scene. Warner Brothers put it up like 4 months ago, and it has 1 million views right now. One of the greatest 14 minutes in cinema history. Some of that, a lot of that is true, right? The stuff that he's saying is true. And I think he actually gets it right. I do think JFK was killed by like the military industrial complex and the CIA. Like, I have no doubt that probably happened. So I believe the gist of what he's saying. It's just the specific details that he's like rattles off every 2 seconds in every scene are like a lot of them are bullshit. Is that irresponsible? No. I don't think it's irresponsible, because he's leading this. It's like a breadcrumb into the forest, where it's like we have to take the next steps in the journey and do your own research. Right? He's the original do your own research guy.
That sounds irresponsible.
Okay, you're a teacher. If you ever taught JFK, have you taught JFK?
No, I can't.
You
teach
probably can't
movie.
because it's so full of shit. But if you did, you'd be like, hey, here's a movie. It's a movie. It's fiction, but it's about something that's real. Some of it's true. Some of it's not. I can't tell you what's what. Mm-hmm. Going into a movie, it's not a documentary. And it's not trying to be. Well, maybe it is to some degree. It's a fictional documentary. But yeah, I don't know. I don't find it that irresponsible just because it's really fun. And it does. I think it tells the truth. It's like the poetic truth. And that truth is that like powerful men, usually white, usually from a Protestant background, control the country and have since probably the turn of the century.
Right. So the exact same message of Eddington.
Is that the message of Eddington, though? I mean, like, I don't know. Who's the villain in Eddington? The villain in JFK is very clear. CIA. But does Ari really say that, though?
Well, yeah. I mean, you linger on the data center at the end for the entire credits.
I don't know. It didn't feel like to me like he made them into the villain that they should have been then. Like, I don't know. And also like the Antifa stuff. Like, what is he doing muddying the waters with that? Like, why would you do that? Talk about irresponsible art.
Oh, yeah. So is that I don't know.
That's 100% irresponsible.
This comes back to the A24 aspect, though, because there's definitely like I saw like an old couple walk in, and I was just like, yeah.
Oh no.
And I was just like, well, because like AMC lists it as a Western, so I was just like, you see Joaquin Phoenix in a cowboy hat on the movie poster. It's got like a nondescript movie title.
Remember the posters like Buffalo going off a cliff?
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh yeah, finally some John Wayne shit back in the theaters. And then they walk in, they're like, oh yeah, Antifa is real.
But that's the thing. It's like,
I don't.
Why would you put that in the movie?
But A24's audience, the vast majority, I feel like most people. I don't know. Am I wrong? Am I still?
No, you're not. Go to the. I've been on the Ari Aster subreddit and A24 subreddits, and they love the movie.
Yeah, and so like they get it. Like this is manufactured.
It's they do get it, but it's. And I've been going back and forth with people on there, of course, as I am wont to do.
How many times have you gotten banned?
I have not gotten banned from A24 area.
I'm very proud of you, Dan.
I was banned from the aviation subreddit, though. That's a whole other story.
Speaking of conspiracy.
But, no, they love it. They love this movie because I think it's, we'll switch over to Sorry Baby, but I think there is an aura or subgroup of A24 that is into this sort of thing that is poking fun at the world. Because A24 people are outsiders, right? They're not cool people. They're not chads, alphas, whatever the freaking word is these days. They're outsiders who think that they're outsiders and view the world from an outsider perspective. At least they say that to themselves. And Ari Aster is the perfect filmmaker for them. And this movie is perfect for them because it lets them view COVID through this prism or lens that is like, oh yeah, that was all that was really screwed up, and it's still going on. That's the message of the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're missing the real threat.
Yeah, the real threat's, maybe big tech or capitalism, right? Yeah. No. So I mean, maybe it functions well on that level. But yeah, they love it. The Ari Aster subreddit. Anytime I say something negative about it, they downvote me to oblivion. So they're all about it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Sorry Baby, I think we can have some more common ground here, but I should say up front that I did take a peek at your Letterboxd, and you gave it 3.5, whereas I gave it the full 5.
I wanted to love it. Like, I was very, very excited about this movie.
Okay.
Every year, I think it was a Sundance thing. Yeah, it was Sundance. I always go through what was big at Sundance and read all the articles and figure out what I should be eyeing for the rest of the year when stuff's coming out. And Sorry Baby was at the top of a lot of people's lists. So I definitely had it down on my spreadsheet of like, watch out for this movie. And yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed it a lot. I think it's a really, really good movie. The way it plays with time, the wonder of the actual, I guess we can talk about spoilers, right?
Yeah.
The assault that happens, the sexual violence that happens to. Now, I want to say this out front because the pronoun things is the big thing these days. And like, Ava goes by they and she. Mm-hmm. And so if you look her up on Wikipedia, it's all they, but she did a massive New Yorker interview for this movie where she goes by she. And she actually talks about it in the New Yorker thing. So I'm going to kind of switch back and forth because that's what she does. And so the way that she plays with time and the way that she depicts trauma is innovative and really engrossing. Ava pops on screen. Like, mm-hmm. She has such a screen presence. And I just, it was very enjoyable. I just felt like it was a little bit too twee for me. And I did not feel like there was a resolution. And I hate to, don't say that that's the point. Like people have said on the A24 Reddit to me when I bring this up, that's the point. There is no resolution to trauma. I understand that. Like, trauma, obviously, if you go through something like this, you stays with you for the rest of your life. I would never say anything different. But from a movie perspective and a narrative perspective, they were already playing with time. They were already playing with the events that happened and their reaction to them. I needed something a little bit more concrete in the final third. That's why I didn't.
You got okay. I think it's I think there's it's masterful for a lot of reasons, and she deserved the Waldo Salt Award in screenwriting from Sundance, hands down. I think it's one of the. I mean, I want to read this thing, and I don't often think that.
You can buy it on A24 for $60. No joke.
I'm sure I could. I'll pass for now. But the Victor does this 1, 2, 3 punch that is just like so. It's like so subtle that I get why perhaps you missed it, but for me it landed really hard. And it starts with the sandwich scene with John Carroll Lynch, who's just like comes out of nowhere and it's like does this masterclass that he's known for as a incredible character actor. And then she kills the rat in her bed, and that is the cathartic release. And then, last but not least, she's reunited with her friend. And I think that it's interesting to see which critics write about this film as if it's a movie about trauma versus those that write about it as it's a film about friendship. And if you can't really, I don't think you can separate the two. I think it's very much both.
Yeah. But
the fact that it ends there, it ends with, her welcoming her friend back with her partner and their baby. But she's still in that house. She's still stuck there, which is, this house in, an unnamed New England town that has a liberal arts college where she and her friend attended, and then they became a professor there. It is almost like it's very much influenced by The Cottage in Nancy Meyer's The Holiday, of all things.
Which I love that you picked for this.
Well, I mean, it stood out. Like I was searching, and as Victor started doing the press rounds, then they started opening up a bit more about where they got different bits and pieces from, because we're film trace. We should acknowledge this, even though every think piece about this movie and this filmmaker says it is like, we'll talk about this a little bit more when we get into Talk to Me in the next episode. It's like, this is another, social media person that became a filmmaker.
Yeah. TikTok, right? Big TikTok.
Yeah. TikTok and Twitter, and specifically these like front facing videos that, also like got a lot of people through the pandemic. Yeah. I wouldn't have thought. I was actually kind of trepidatious when I found out that's who this person was, because it's like I never really found, like, I found them to be amusing, but I didn't find, like, I'm like, for an hour and 40 minutes, I don't know if I can handle that kind. But then they come on screen and their presence is so like this perfect balance of slight and silly, and it feels just like so real. Like they feel like somebody you just hang out with. Yeah. And that's like the magnetic best vibe you could have as somebody who's not just the star, but also the writer director. Yeah. And I just feel like coming onto the scene here fully formed with, a script that's both light on its feet and super like deep and meaningful is beyond impressive. And I'm so excited to see what happens next. I do think that I would love to, if you'd be willing to do a rewatch at some point and hear back, because I feel like it's one of those movies that'll just like land different. Absolutely. And harder, perhaps.
I'll get the Blu-ray and watch it. It could be something like a rewatch might help. Did you saw it in the theater, right? So
oh god, yeah.
I saw it with like maybe 10 people in the audience.
Same.
It was all women. I was the only guy. And I laughed out loud a lot. And I do this in the theater because I don't really care what other people think. I'll just laugh out loud, sitting alone, laughing out loud. And no one else is really laughing. And I was like, this movie's really funny. Like, it's really freaking funny. And I was like, am I a weirdo that I'm not supposed to be laughing at these scenes? But like, her comedic delivery is phenomenal. And like, yeah, I mean, I thought it was it's a really strong debut. I will say that. I do have a thing about, I guess it's about endings. Mm-hmm. God, it's not even close to being strong. I would have. I don't know. I sound like a psychopath. Like it won the Waldo thing, and screen like it just. To me, the end needed like 5 or 6 more drafts, like to even get close to where it needed to be in terms of a bookend, a catharsis, a true moving forward of the character, or moving backwards, which way she wanted to go. Maybe she goes into the abyss. I don't know.
Well, I think that's another piece of it that I think is important. That really like kind of tugged at me too. I don't know. You're more of a nomad. You've been around, but like I kind of went to college and then stuck around in my town here in Minneapolis, and so I feel like that experience is kind of. It's even more intensified, obviously, with the character Agnes's assault, and it's perpetrated by somebody who works at the university that someone
she knew and trusted,
right?
Looked up to,
or their mentor, and then they also have to contend with this feeling of is this the only reason I got this job? Right? Is it and she's still living in the same house that they were living in.
She has the same office as her perpetrator.
Right. So there's so much there. This idea of scene of the crime, you stick around because and also there's this wonderful scene where we actually get to see them teach, and they're teaching Lolita, another former Film Trace episode culprit. And that line just hits me so hard, and it kind of actually mimics our discussion about Eddington too, where they're the question of that discomfort that you have to sit with when you appreciate and respect and are experiencing enjoyment of the form, even if the content is making you angry. And that's I feel like that's just such a beautifully succinct way to describe the kind of art that matters.
Yeah.
You mentioned, I don't know if this is what you were referring to when you said the oneer, but the time lapse of the house.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Just the 3
and then
cuts.
she gets out of the house. It's a one shot the whole way.
Yeah,
back to her.
Yeah. But just that 3, the 3 time
beautiful.
Lapse. Oh my god! But it's done. Also it's beautiful, but it's also just you're just waiting. You're in dread. Just the second the
and it's so
the camera
long.
lingers.
It's so long. I was like, oh, this is good because it takes freaking courage to do something like that and put that on screen in that way, and it's also. It's also a really strong choice to not show the actual violence. You know what I mean? And just show the aftermath. It's this is something I get over about Scorsese about violence perpetrated against people is showing it is not showing it. If you really want to show violence, you show the aftermath and what it does to people. And that's exactly what Eva did in this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I will say this. I will say the one of the things that I connected with the most in this film is its treatment of panic attacks and agoraphobia. I was like, oh yeah, I have, obviously very different background or whatever, but experiencing that and not wanting to leave the house and being afraid to leave the house. I've definitely been there before in my life. And it was incredibly well done. I think one of the better depictions of panic disorder, panic attack, agoraphobia that I've seen on screen. So I think that's something to applaud as well.
Yeah, and we're just talking about things it's amazing that this is a movie that has so many pieces of really important representation. Also non-binary protagonists. Obviously that's also the filmmaker.
We haven't seen a lot of that.
I can't think of a single one. The only one that comes to mind is another A24 movie. I saw the TV Glow, and that's left open as to is the character non-binary, are they trans?
That one point to make before we even talk about the holiday, which you don't have to if you don't want to. I'm kidding.
No, you're talking about the holiday.
I kid. Is that a couple of things? One, there's A24 is all over this movie. Ava's doing her social media stuff. She's on, what's the show? Billions? I haven't seen it, but I think she was a popular character on that.
Yeah, who's dating the non-binary lead of that show, which is one of the only reasons I keep watching that garbage.
Showtime? Ugh, gross. But she, Barry Jenkins, director of Moonlight, reaches out to her. Cold DMs her.
On Instagram.
Cold DMs her.
Social media can lead to great things, apparently.
And it's like, hey, do you have anything or something like that? And she writes this script. I was like, come on, this is insane. And then I don't know if he suggested this, but this happened. She shadowed
Jane Schoenbrunn.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how she was learning how to direct, was through that movie. So it's all one big family.
Yeah.
One big non-binary family, right?
Yeah.
It's all just like, it's an interesting world that they have created of creative people and, representation of people that are not gonna, show up in a Warner Brothers movie. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Who does often show up in a Warner Brothers movie? Oh my gosh. So I had a misconception, I think. I thought that you loved this movie, The Holiday.
I think that I have a weird relationship with Nancy Meyers where I love some of her
relationships
work.
with a lot of artists.
I know, I don't know, I like a lot. I like her vibe. Even The Intern. Is that her daughter that did that? I don't even know. It might be Nancy Meyers, might not be.
No, yeah, it's Nancy.
Okay. It's one of those movies I could just watch endlessly, and I don't know why. So it speaks to me on some level very deeply, but I also hate it. And so it's The Holiday, I think, where something like The Intern I could rewatch. The Holiday, I can't do it. It's very grating to me. And I don't know why. Also, was Jack Black always this annoying? I mean, honestly,
he's very muted.
He's muted, but God, is he obnoxious in this and so irritating. I could go on and on. Nothing in this movie works for me. Nothing. Cameron Diaz, whatever. She's okay in some things. Her and Jude Law, zero chemistry. Zero chemistry. Kate Winslet and Jack Black. Also, Jack Black's first dating the drummer of Warpaint. What's her name?
That's
how I know her. Is the
40 Days and 40 Nights.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Something with an S. It doesn't. People talk about this. Oh, it's so lived in. It's is it lived in? Cameron Diaz is also obnoxious and annoying, just as bad as Jack Black, and she has way more screen time. Kate Winslet is probably the only sweet note in this, where I'm I could watch her. She's believable. I get her character. I like her character. I want to spend more time with her. Everybody else is just, I don't know. Does it click for you? Do you like this movie?
Okay, so this was my second watch. I actually hadn't seen it until not this most recent Christmas, but the Christmas before. And I was I have to finally see this movie. And it's supposedly, a feel bad Christmas movie. So that sounds like exactly what I need. I was just wanting to hate watch.
Sure.
And I was just I found myself just kind of frustrated because I was I actually kind of like some pieces of this, but the rest is so boring. And I was just whatever. But then I watched it in a very different state of mind with a friend for this podcast. And I was just this movie's ridiculously fun. Just I reveled in every minute of its absurdity. Something clicked, and I'm oh, that's why Eva Victor loves this movie. It's because it's
cozy.
It's cozy, but it's also just it's so weird how it gets how, unlike so many other rom-coms, including every other Nancy Meyers movie, this gets at this feeling of just being terminally unhappy, but done with that cozy vibe to it. To the
that's
point
why
where,
I hate it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's so stupid. It's so stupid in so many ways, and yet
it reminds me of Love Actually, which I also hate.
Sure. But the one piece that I found myself just gravitating towards that we haven't even mentioned it yet is There's this whole like weird subplot where Kate Winslet becomes like the caretaker for this 90-year-old epic
That's my favorite
screenwriter.
part of the movie by far.
It's the best. It's so good.
Yeah, because it's authentic.
So
it's like their connection's authentic.
I know.
He's lonely. He's looking for somebody. She's lonely, looking for somebody. And it's
so
like
I was thinking, like that could be an A24 movie. Who is just that story? Like that's
there has to
an
be some
A24
weird sick thing about it, though.
No, but
I
like,
mean, A24 is depraved, basically.
but they've got this soft side, and we're going to talk about this on the After Gang episode, right?
I guess,
Yeah.
First
so,
cow.
Like there's this delicate piece to it. That's why I think like Sorry Baby and Eddington kind of, show those two halves.
Oh, it's definitely, kind of a yin and yang thing.
Right.
Edgelord versus the sweet, bookish stuff.
Right, exactly. It's like the unlikely pairing of the goth kid with a mood disorder and the book nerd in the library who has trouble opening up to people. That should be an A24 movie. I just wrote that in my head right now.
A24 movie?
Yeah, exactly.
It is.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
They're so predictable at this point.
So. And I'd also say like this could have been a candidate for a really passionate discussion on one of our episodes from our camp season, Camp Cinema,
without doubt,
because it totally threads that line between naive and deliberate. I'd think.
Well, it's tiptoeing on a tightrope,
right?
Mr.
Napkinhead. Oh my god.
I mean, Nancy Meyers is really good at that. That like you can't really tell where she stands on any of it. Like, does she live inside an interior architecture digest magazine? Like, you don't know if that's her world.
Right.
I think that it is, but I also think that she's also a good entertainer and realizes that most people don't have that life. So she's kind of like, going in and out.
She couldn't find the right cottage she wanted in all of England, and so she had them build this.
I mean, young people must watch this stuff and be like, were you people all like kings and queens back then? Like, what was going on?
The 2000s were wild.
I guess Airbnb, but I don't know.
Yeah. And this is getting remade as an Apple TV series.
Gross. Who are the leads? We got leads yet?
No leads announced yet.
There better be no names. It's only going to work.
Okay. That's the kind of mood I like to have you in when I say it's time for trivia, Dan.
Let's do this. I got no competition. Let's go 5 for 5.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to give you...
I've seen most of these movies. Half of them.
Okay. I'm going to give you... to say that you won, not only do you need to get at least 3 out of 5 correct, but you need to get them correct on the first guess.
Okay.
All right. So be careful with what you say. Okay. The deal is Dan on his screen is looking at a collage of A24 movies from this year or, the end of last year, 2024 to 2025. And I'm going to read a quote from a director of one of these A24 films talking about what movie influenced them when making this movie. Dan, are you ready?
Do it. Let's go. I'm ready for this.
Number 1. I'm going to start out with a curveball right away.
Do it.
That was my driving goal and why I was so meticulous, or we were so meticulous, casting all the memories and really asking, how did you feel at this exact moment? So all these micro arcs exist, and I think for the film, I don't just watch films of the same genre. There's a film I could name that you'll be pretty shocked of how influential it was for me. It's called Sliding Doors.
Gwyneth Paltrow?
Yeah.
I've seen it multiple times. Materialists?
Nope. You want to have one more guess for funsies?
Hold on. Let me think. Brutalist?
Nope.
No, what is it?
So the movie here about memory and about how it varies from experience to experience. Warfare.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh my gosh, you need to see it. You're professional.
Is it Alex Garland?
Yeah, but it's co-directed with Ray Mendoza.
What does that mean?
Oh my gosh, I know it seems just like a weird tail end. Like he just put out
really a war movie.
So
in America now, a war movie.
Hold up, the guy who was his consultant on all the warfare aspects in Civil War.
Sure.
Is he himself a vet, and so then Alex Garland asked him, like, do you have any cool, like, war stories? And he told him this story about this one incident in Afghanistan, and Alex Garland said, let's make a movie. And it's actually really fascinating. I really enjoyed.
I'll check it out. I mean, I love 13 Hours, so I love a good military movie, especially
I'd be curious to hear your feedback on it. It's quite interesting to have like the Alex Garland style, but also like it's very much written and directed by an actual like Platoon. Like,
yeah, Oliver Stone. He was in it. He was in the shit. So
okay, number 2. I'm just going to keep going with the curveballs. I'll end it easy with you, and hopefully you'll get 3 in a row, because I don't think you're going to get this one. Our uncle showed Mouse Hunt to us, and our mom was so specific about what we couldn't watch, and she was like, this is too violent to show them. And I was like, violent? It's about hunting a mouse. But looking back on it, it does get savage at times, which we tend to do.
Y2K.
Is that the unicorn? Funsies? No, this is Bring Her Back. The Philippines were influenced by Mouse Hunt.
I could see that. That also goes back to like the Eva thing, where it's like this is like the first generation of filmmakers, I think, that has been so hyper connected to media and content that their influences are literally all across the map.
Yeah, well, and like Drek, that just like happened to be on Netflix when they were younger, right?
Yeah, I don't know how old Jane is on I Saw the TV, but that had a similar feel. It's like,
yeah,
this is like an amalgamation of so many different genres.
Yeah. Well, I feel like they're more like us growing up on Nickelodeon and Are You Afraid of the Dark? But yeah. Okay, you still have a chance to get all 3 in a row and call it a win. Let's give you an easier one. When I sent him the script, I was like, I wrote this for you, and I want to shoot it like Paul Thomas Anderson's The Master, because that movie's really funny and could be all kinds of things, and any kind of reaction is right. But at the end of the day, it is not just artful and pretentious, it's funny.
Heretic? Brutalist?
No!
God, I'm so bad at this. What is it?
It's Friendship.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Right?
Yeah,
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm...
You've not seen it?
No, I know. I need to.
It's phenomenal.
Oh,
I love
awesome.
it. And
awesome.
I don't know Tim Robinson all that well or stuff, like a little bit, but I was like, oh, this is my cup of tea.
Yeah. Did you get that vibe, like a Joaquin Phoenix film I see more often?
No, not at all. No? Okay. Not even remotely.
All right, last 2 just for fun. This one's an easy one. Films like Basic Instinct were incredibly important to me because it was the first time in my life that I didn't feel embarrassed about my own darker thoughts. I felt very seen, but then always in the final act someone would get punished, and it lost for me a sense of reality.
Baby Girl.
Yeah, there you go.
I haven't seen it. Very popular. It did really well.
I really liked it. It's not.
You liked it a lot. $63 million worldwide. It's like one of the bigger A24 movies ever.
Okay. Yeah. No, I don't know. It was definitely way better than I thought it was going to be. It's
have to check it out. I love Nicole Kidman. I think she's a phenomenal actor.
Oh yeah, she's really good in it. And this new guy, Harris Dickerson, like I wouldn't be too mad if he ends up being James Bond.
Not.
He's fun. Okay. Last but not least, let's end it with a powder keg. We love when films cast against type. In 2002, we saw Punch Drunk Love in theaters and were blown away by Adam Sandler. He was using his comedy muscles, but in a darker, more dramatic way. We wanted to do something similar with our lead.
Heretic.
That's Heretic. There you go.
Which is terrible.
Oh my God, so bad.
So exhausting. Great premise, though. Great trailer. Great premise.
I don't know if maybe like
Hugh
I thought that before I saw
Hugh Grant's
it.
Fantastic. He's a really great actor.
Yes, he's a great
Dungeons
actor.
and Dragons. Have you seen that?
What?
He plays the villain. Oh, he's fantastic. He just owns.
Okay.
He just pops on screen. He's
not
great.
with that script though.
A24, folks. So that's the premiere episode. Extra size to an extra.
Yeah.
We had to. There's a lot of movies to talk about. Next week coming up, we have Talk to Me paired with Possession. That's a really fun episode. And then After Yang and Late Spring. Under the Silver Lake, La Aventura, First Reformed, It Comes at Night, Green Room, Enemy, ending with Spring Breakers. I cannot wait. The Spring Breakers Kids.
Yeah, that's going to be a spicy one.
Ooh, it's be fun. It's going to be really fun.
Lots of good guests coming up too, so you won't have to just listen to us. Yeah,
Hear us yammer.
Yeah, but until then, we will catch you on the flip. We'll be back, just Dan and I, for that Kids and Spring Breakers episode, but we will be busting them out, and we're happy to be back. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, guys. This has been Film Trace.